So this is actually using Camtasia. So I have a 360 video that I created. I actually mounted the 360 GoPro camera on my window seal, no external microphone, and I do my intro using that. And of course in here kind of takes people from, okay, this is the way that we're kind of talking about something to going above and beyond, which of course, makes it dynamic, but also gets people curious, what else is he gonna do, right? Like that's what this is all about. Now, of course, I bring the 360 camera inside the studio. Of course, I give a little shout out mention to the brand. Now I switch into my eCam setup, which allows me to drop in the graphic overlay that you see there. It allows me, of course, I'm using a Logitech Brio camera, which of course gives it that high quality feel. Also the lighting also gives them kind of a tease of, okay, we went from a little vanity, a little 360 to now you're gonna get this piece of it. And then of course I also wanna show them depth of the presentation and give them a little bit of like behind the scenes before I get into the content. So I drop into eCam here and give them picture-in-picture, also giving a shout out to the brands, which of course is great for sponsor call outs within a presentation. I show them a little picture-in-picture fun, and this kind of all leads them into the tease they're about to get for my upcoming add-on, which is really the thing that people are waiting for. And this is all the setup. Of course, I'm using my snapping to bring in my Prezi overlays. This is using Prezi Video. It took me about 3 hours to create these custom for this event. A template that I had used in the past. And so this is actually one of the presentation styles that I added new, where you can see kind of the chat bubble up above my head, really using that as like the segue into the next slide to kind of help people transition. Also think, okay, this is what I want you to be thinking about as we move forward. Of course, you guys can see that that's the next slide there where I show the chat bubble. I think I'm gonna have to change the fonts a little bit, maybe make them a little bit bolder, but I think like that flow really seemed to work well. And then of course I used this interactive graphic that I made. I'm gonna have to test a little bit the colors, but I love being able to include my own personal branding. Also really, and so yeah, that hologram, that like 3D look. I also think it helps like kind of visualize not only where you're thinking, but where your head is. This one here, I really wanted to focus on the quote, but also set up that 3D graphic. And so I created this custom for this event. This is actually the logo from the event. The cool thing is Prezi had this kind of like in templated form. And so I could just add all of the icons, fits perfectly into kind of what I wanted to simulate in this world. And then here's kind of the fast forward version of a lot of the other things that I included. So changing up different colors, using icons, using mind maps, really trying to change up the dynamics. My goal is to switch kind of every 6 to 8 minutes in how I'm presenting. So here's where I'm kind of wrapping things up. I even snap out of the presentation and kind of move from Prezi into kind of like my last call to action, my inspiration, right? I want to take that off the screen. But I think really, this is important to think about everything from not only what's on screen, but how you're moving forward and backwards and even the mannerisms that you're using. And then of course, this is the call to action I added there at the end. So for me, a lot about this presentation, although it took me 3 hours to build and the different pieces of it, it's about, keeping it interactive, keeping it visually appealing, trying not to overdo it, which sometimes I have a tendency to do, but also kind of pushing the limits of what's possible, because that's where I truly do feel where the future is. And I can tell you the feedback that I got from this presentation was amazing. Lots of high praise. So I appreciate that. And hopefully this gives you a little insight into my thought process and how I'm building out some of my virtual presentations. Cheers, friends.